And I think we're live now for Dude, What's the Bid, where we talk about rates. My name's Kevin Hill, here as always with Casey Lorcan over at Farelanes. How are you doing today, Casey?
Oh, I'm doing well, Kevin. It's a gorgeous Thursday morning here in uptown Dallas. Mavs got their butts handed to them last night, but
no, they
that's
didn't.
all right.
No, they didn't.
What's the series now? What is it, 3-0 or 0-3, I guess, for the Mavs?
Yeah, it's a tough hole. I don't know. What'd you think about Luka's performance last night, Steve?
I mean, I think I think he got a little more help finally last night, but it was a little too late. But I think it turned into a rough show last night. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those guys that likes to blame referees or umpires or whatever, but nobody wanted to watch, one of the best players in the NBA sit on the bench for the last 4.5 minutes in an NBA Finals game on a classic comeback. So I think that was really unfortunate. So could have been an all-time classic, and unfortunately, we watched one of the best players in the game sit on the sidelines with the warm-up jersey on. That was really frustrating.
It is. That is. If you don't know Steve Wonderwriter from American Diamond Logistics here in the Dallas area, Fort Worth area, is joining us today. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, you bet. Good to be here.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some rates today. So everyone's talking about the market. Is the market turning? Are we showing lives? Are we seeing lives? Signs of lives, I should say, in the market. So that's what we're going to kind of focus in on here today. And Steve, since we have you on the show, what's the market doing right now?
It's still kind of hard to tell. We're still seeing some swings back and forth a little bit. We see some signs of life, and then we see some pause, so to speak. But generally speaking, we're still waiting for that, for that jump in the market. We feel like it could be coming. There are some signs where the market seems to be tightening. We have had some of our carriers that some of our larger carriers that seem to be tightening up a little bit. We are about 30 to 35% of our business is on dedicated projects, and some of those carriers have indicated some tightening, which is potentially some good signs. But on the transactional market, it seems like the rates still seem to be a race to the bottom. So we're still waiting for that next jump.
Interesting. Do you think it's the our shippers realizing, hey, maybe we've had enough pricing power for a little over 2 years now, and maybe it makes sense to start doing a little bit more of the dedicated or contract stuff, and that's crunching that capacity that you guys are hearing from, or maybe something
potentially. I think a lot of shippers are still trying to make up ground for for their budgets that were busted during COVID. I think they're still trying to take advantage of the market, and that means more on the transactional side rather than getting into dedicated scenarios. But do I think that could change? Potentially, but I don't see that changing yet. We haven't seen that just yet.
Are you seeing
Yeah.
any seasonality return to the market? Or are you seeing a good seasonal pattern?
We have in the southeast. We have some of it was short lived, but we have not seen it here locally like we used to in the past. So supply has just been overabundant, and so it hasn't been affected like it used to. Um, but we did see it in the southeast for a few weeks. That was late May, early June. Um, we did see it. We did feel it. We've got some consistent freight in that area, and our pricing went up like 30%, and that lasted probably 3 weeks, and then came back down. Um, but we did feel it out there. But as far as locally here in Texas, we have not felt it just yet.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about Yellow Diamond. Kind of how you got started, how long you've been around, what you kind of focus in on in the freight market.
Yeah, so I graduated from college in 2001, and back then everybody was putting their resumes on Monster, and it was saturated just like the modern day version of Indeed, and I had actually graduated 1 month exactly prior to 9/11, and once 9/11 hit, everything kind of slowed down there for a little while, and my dad owned a brokerage, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come work with me for a little while you're looking for a career?" And that led to 10 years of working with him, and getting to know the freight business. And in 2012, my wife was she was a medical student, and she was starting a practice, and it was just good timing for me to start my own. And I decided to start American Diamond in September of 2012, and it was lightning speed from there. We started in a small office in my partner's in the back of his house, and you fast forward 6 or 7 years, and we were a $5.5–6 million company, and started Navigator TMS and Freight Tracer, and next thing you know, we're a $50 million company, and the sky's the limit from there. Our business model is completely different than mainstream logistics. We do not, we don't solicit business like the traditional logistics companies do. Ours is based on supply chain visibility, and so our salespeople, solicit based off of our ability to tie in the supply chain into one ball of real-time GPS data. Doesn't matter if it's our customer or our customer's customer, and anybody in between. And that solicitation strategy has allowed us to scale extremely fast, and allowed us to be different than mainstream. There's not many companies out there. Really, I don't know of anybody. C.H. Robinson, maybe with Navisphere, but there's not many companies out there that have developed their own proprietary GPS system along with a TMS. A lot of folks build their own TMS system, right? Not many of them our size. Most of them are larger, but there are very, very few that have built their a complementary GPS system to go along with it. And so we are able to use that to our advantage because we're not held hostage to what the somebody like MacroPoint or Four Kites or Trucker Tools or somebody like that uh, does or doesn't decide to do relative to the sharing of data with a TMS, right? We control that all on our own, and that gives us a unique level of flexibility when it comes to transparency and just the level of interaction our customers have with their data when they trust us with their business,
Right.
and we leverage that in our solicitation strategy. And again, we have scaled extremely fast when we went live with that January 1 of 2017. Again, we were like a $6.5 million company, and you fast forward 5 or 6 years, and we went from 6 to 50 in a very few short years, and it's not a coincidence.
The 10 bagger.
That's right. With 10 more to go.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's not too shabby.
No.
Certainly not. And you mentioned, using the technology to figure out how to fit into supply chains. I think I heard that you guys may have a couple hundred truckloads of soda pop headed your way. Are there any types of commodities or supply chains that you guys, find yourselves, really being experts or more proficient in than others?
I think Steve might be out right now. I don't see him on the screen or hear him, but that's okay. He'll join us here in a second. He'll get everything straightened out. Let's look at the screen here and look at this slide with all trailer types. And Casey, why don't you explain a little bit about the metrics here? VWAP. We call that VWAP. Is that good?
Yeah, nailed it. I think that's what the Wall Street bets guys call it, anyways.
Yeah.
Roaring Kitty still punching. AMC still bullish on that one. But besides the point, it's the volume weighted average price over the course of that time period, right? So
what does that mean? Volume weighted average price. And I don't expect you. I don't expect you to be a mathematician and tell me. But what does this indicate? How's this different than what you normally see out there?
I mean, it's some months have more freight movement, right, than others, and price and volume are very much tied together, right? So the average price, per load by volume for this period is $2.35 a mile. In May, $2.27 a mile. Right, like 8 cents below the average over that time period. Line haul would appear to be trending down as well. Volumes are up. Length of haul is up, which some could argue might lead you to a world where things are starting to rebound and price is starting to respond to that volume a little bit more effectively.
Steve, you're back.
Yeah, sorry guys.
No worries.
Had a call come in that knocked me out of the picture for some reason. So
I was telling you before we went live, Steve, using a cell phone is great for live. It works a little bit better, except for that one
one piece,
right? When you get a phone call, everything just, you never know.
No worries. Well, we're on Do Not Disturb now, so let's hope that the technology works now.
Let's do that. So VWAP, 235 in May. which is down about 3.7% over, I believe, April, right? That's what we're looking at.
Well, so April, right, 224 a mile. May, 227 a mile.
Oh, so it's up
You know,
a little bit.
if you zoom in here, you might be able to argue this is potentially a bottom. We're above the trend line so far in May, but still, right? I mean, VWAP is right up here where my cursor is.
Okay.
So, we'd like to see us break the volume weighted average price. I mean, as that volume weighted average price is trending down, right? So, maybe that inflection point becomes like 234 or 233. And, I think if we can hold that, that would be a bullish signal for the freight markets. But
I think so too.
To see where, we're crossing this downward trend line, and maybe we're starting to head back up, starting to see it as well on the average line haul as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few indicators right now where we're at least in the short term that there's some movement afoot. Maybe we haven't quite seen it yet, but it's at a foot. It's building out there, right? And you see that from our friends at Freight Waves and Craig's article and Zach Strickland out there, and
sure.
I tend to agree with it. I've been, I've seen successful calls in the past, and it's kind of framing up like that. Again, I mean, maybe nothing supersonic, but some action at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, Steve, now that you're back, something I did want to ask you. You mentioned you guys kind of leveraging the technology nicely to figure out where you can fit into supply chains most, effectively. I heard, I think, some scuttlebutt that maybe you guys have a couple hundred truckloads of soda pop headed in. Are there any specific supply chains that you guys have found yourself being most effective in, or what are those kind of core commodities that you guys like to move, if any?
We're pretty well diversified, thankfully. We are not stuck in one industry or one commodity, thankfully. I think our sales team does a wonderful job of spreading their wings and really spreading the ADL message across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And our model works across all industries. This team is, and again, this is a biased opinion, but this team is second to none, and they treat these loads like they're their own, and our customers really appreciate that. So it doesn't matter if they're moving beverage or pine straw or whatever the case may be. They're moving all kinds of commodity all day long, and they look at these loads as though it's their own. We've seen customers of all shapes and sizes appreciate it. And again, I think our sales team does a good job of really reaching out and communicate our model and our brand to everybody.
Right, for sure. On top of the tech, I'm interested to know how you guys like to think about data, pricing data in the market. Super glad, right, that you guys are leveraging the Farelanes data.
Sure.
Would love to hear a little bit about how you guys kind of leverage pricing intelligence to serve those customers.
Sure. So I think over the last several years, probably the last decade or so, maybe a little bit longer, visibility was the number one issue that faced our issue, especially our side of it. And when tools such as Freight Tracer and MacroPoint and FourKites and those folks like that put software in place, I think that issue has been solved, so to speak. And I think what's happening now, the biggest issue that we face is simply a data issue, and more importantly, a clean hygiene data issue.
Interoperability. Yeah.
Right. There are plenty of data tools out there, namely DAT or Truck Stop or whoever else, and we all we have all used those, and I think we are all ingrained to hear those tools tell us, hey, we have X amount of billions of dollars that we use to compile this data for you. And to me, I'm not so interested in that top dollar number, right? What I am interested in is the hygiene of the data, the integrity of the data, right? And that is what draws me to Farelanes. It is much more effective when my team knows, the data that's not important to me. Could be layover fees or lumper fees. The data that's unimportant, the accessorials that are unimportant, that mean nothing when we are trying to estimate a cost, right? So I am not confident in the other tools that we work with. I'm not confident that they are wiping those out, and we know that Farelanes is doing that. And so from a transactional standpoint, this market is really heavy on the transactional side right now. And if my team is using data that doesn't have good hygiene, and we're up against the clock, we cannot forecast what that cost is going to be with any confidence, right? So a lot of these tools just simply it's a guessing game. And when we use Farelanes, we know that the hygiene is clean, and we can go back to a customer within seconds and understand with a high level of confidence that our estimate is accurate. We're fortunate enough to control our own TMS. So we're putting the data in certain places within the TMS that we can do this really fast. So for us, our team can have a rate back to a customer within seconds and have a very high level of confidence in what we're giving back to them. And in this market, it's obviously really important to be able to do that. And so, I think it's really important for folks to understand the difference in Farelanes and other tools. It is, just seeing the raw data too, right? If I can extract the raw data, not only can I have that average in seconds, but if I can pinpoint specific raw examples, I might even be able to dive a little bit deeper and say, hey, this example works a little bit better for me than these others. And the rate actually may change just a bit, but I know based off of that raw data, what may work a little bit better for me,
Right.
and have even more confidence. And I'm not aware of any other tool that's going to give you the raw data. And that is a huge point of emphasis for us. And again, because we control our own TMS, we're putting it in spots where our users, are working with loads that they're covering for customers, and that data is just spilling out in front of them, and they can make an educated, um, uh, estimate really fast, and look at that raw data, look at the averages, and get back to a customer in a very, very short amount of time, and again, have confidence in what they're sending back.
It's a good
Love
point there that you made about hygiene, right? Hygiene of the data and the different sources out there. And I think that's a challenge for everybody is that hygiene, especially, and you guys have a TMS, proprietary TMS that's out in the market. So you understand this as well as you have employees, right? And not necessarily all loads are entered into a TMS and brought through the system in a very clean way. And I know this certainly firsthand because I probably wasn't the cleanest data entry person when it came to loads. I booked them, I moved them. Accessorials were all tied up into maybe the line haul price, right? Other little variables that are just dumped in, or maybe they're split out, or maybe I'm putting together a partial or an LTL load. And I'm running it through a full truckload TMS. And everyone, it seems like every brokerage, right, is a different entity, and they have different ways of working around issues that they need for their finance team, their accounting team, yada, yada, yada. They have their workarounds, and separating that out, cleaning up to get a true rate has been a challenge for anyone in the pricing game, I think.
And Kevin, what you're describing is the biggest issue that some of these other tools face.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine working with billions and billions of dollars from what I think we can all safely assume is hundreds of different data sources.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
With none of them being filtered in any
well, you have hundreds of different data sources, right? Then you have probably tens of thousands of different users inputting that data into those
and
sources.
I'll take the
right?
over on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is nearly impossible, but understand those other companies, right? Those other pricing companies, they have to market themselves in a way that that kind of that flies over the radar
mm-hmm.
of a typical user like ourselves,
mm-hmm.
so that we don't fully understand. And I'm not talking negative about them, because they have a nearly impossible task at hand.
Uh-huh.
It's impossible.
You're trying to standardize and index this data,
and it's impossible.
It's impossible, but you have to present it as standardized as possible. And the more you get into the details of it, the more confusing it becomes. And
sure.
in the sales game, right?
Yeah, and
no matter what you're selling, the more complicated it gets, and the more minutia and the details, the tougher it is just to explain. And that's nothing against, because any product or service, right? The more gritty into the making of the sausage as you can get, then the messier it becomes, and it's harder to make a decision.
Sure. And for those of us that understand the issues, we would clearly take a tool that has a much lower top line number, right? Say, 10 billion, of lane data,
Mm-hmm.
but with a much cleaner data set, with a much better filtering mechanism to it. That's much more
Yeah.
effective than 30, 40, 50 billion or more in lane data, but just, you know, thrown up against a wall from a filtering perspective. It
Yep.
doesn't, because even if you have half of the data being filtered appropriately, which I would argue that's probably being generous, okay, the other half, you know, it far outweighs the good, and it just it makes what we are looking at, um,
Hard to
it,
decipher.
Yeah.
you can't take what you're looking at and do anything with it with any
Yeah.
confidence.
Yeah.
Right now, before there were these other tools, and before we understood what the task at hand was, it was great. You know, and we could use it as a baseline and understand, hey, that's a baseline, and let's run some variances from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Um, but now, as these tools start to mature, and you know, I think we are understanding that there are better options, and we can start to train each other moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And we understand, I think, just, you know, how beneficial some of this being standardized can be, and you can really, when you have control over the raw data and a smaller data set, that is much more beneficial than huge data sets that we're just
Yeah.
throwing into a pool of data, right?
Yeah.
Quality.
Go ahead, Casey.
I was just gonna say quality, man. Quality over quantity.
Quality over
It
quantity.
is.
Yeah. It's
You
a
know,
maturation of the data, you know, in general, the data that's available out there in logistics and for 3PLs, right? Where you take it 6-7 years ago, as you said, when you're starting out Yellow Diamond, and I got in the industry about 12 years ago. It's just a maturation of the data over time, and the better quality that everyone's getting as we evolve into you know, more transparent or better market.
absolutely. And where we are today is going to pale in comparison to what we understand and what we're able to do 6 months from now, and then six
Yes.
months from then. But it's really important that we, you know, that we continue to evolve and understand the issues. And I think Fairlanes is an entity that really cares about the data, and to me, as a user, that means a lot. And just being able to trust the people that are controlling the data, I know that I can put it into my team's hands and say, trust it and benefit from it, and let's go dominate. Because I can't tell them that with some of the other tools that are out there. I can tell them, hey, use this as a baseline and let's run some variances from it. But I can't say go dominate from it. There's a difference. And
Yeah.
it's really important to understand the difference.
It is. It's definitely it's tough, but it's very important to understand the difference in that. So American Diamond, you have your proprietary TMS, right? Is that something that's out on the market as well?
It is. Yeah, we have just grown organically. we were going to use the American Diamond sales team to scale the technology, but American Diamond grew so fast that we just did not have the time or the bandwidth, and so it just kind of happened organically. um, and I'm biased. I think I think we're one of the very few tools that is out there that has a sister GPS tool to go along with it. I hesitate to say the only, because I'm sure I'm not naive enough to think there's not something else out there like it. Again, I'm not aware of it. There could be something out there.
And what's the
But
GPS product called again?
Freight Tracer.
Freight Tracer. Okay.
hmm
Very good.
So I think our users that are on it, they understand just what American Diamond does, and that is it's more than technology. It really turns into their business model. It's not just the TMS and GPS tool that they use. It really has to be their business model that they buy into, because it's not just a traditional logistics solicitation message that they have where it's, hey, my name is Steve and I'm a great guy and
Mm-hmm.
I've got great carrier relationships and great rates. I'd love the opportunity to work with you. That's old school. And if you use this software, again, the solicitation is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we developed it in the first place. And we wanted different.
Mm-hmm.
The companies can be successful in using that type of strategy, that type of business model, but I always equate it to a salmon swimming upriver. There's bogeys all over the place when you do that. So we wanted different. We wanted cleaner water, and we felt like technology was the avenue to allow us to achieve that, and bringing the visibility into the supply chain for each one of our customers was the way to achieve it. Uh, Thankfully, over our nearly 12 years of doing this, we've had some fantastic people that have helped us along the way. Some of which are, no longer with us, and the team that we have now, fantastic. And I think when you've got technology, you've got to have a great team behind it, or it's
Mm-hmm.
just technology at that point. This industry
Mm-hmm.
still has to have that human contact. The shipping managers out there still want to have human beings problem solve for them, and we've seen examples of that over the last year or so. With this market and what that has done to some of those larger technology driven companies. But you have to have a good team behind the technology to help problem solve and still drive those relationships. You give the technology to the customers to allow them to thrive in their own ecosystem, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to have the human beings behind them to help problem solve. And you've got to have tools like Fairlanes to be able to react in a timely manner for them, especially in a market like this, because pricing is still a huge part of the equation. Technology can separate you from the pack, and in times it can allow you to have higher pricing than others simply because of what you offer that others don't. But it doesn't mean that you can break somebody's budget at the same time. So you've got to be able to forecast what your costs are going to be in a timely manner, and be able to support the customer from a pricing perspective, and then from a support perspective as well, to be able to tie the whole thing together.
Mm-hmm. Your recipe for a lot of long-term partnerships, Steve.
We are really fortunate. We're working with customers that we have been working with since the day American Diamond opened its doors. I think our customers really understand the care that we put into this, and the effort that we put into this. They obviously appreciate the technology. They appreciate the visibility, the interaction, the transparency, etc. But I think most importantly, they understand the sheer amount of effort and care that this team puts into every last one of their shipments that they trust us with. And American Diamond on the surface can be separated from the pack from a technology perspective, but I think it's really the team that ultimately separates us even further, and that shows in just the long-term relationships that we have with our customers. And the other piece of it too is the customers that we were working with when we were $3, $4, $5, $6 million company. We had no business working with some of those folks at that stage of our existence, but they saw our potential and have stuck with us, and quite honestly, they've been rewarded for it, as have we. And now we're a household name. We are a top 150 3PL from a revenue perspective, and we've done it the old-fashioned way. We have no outside money. We've done this. This is all self-funded, and we built this technology out of our own pocket, out of our own minds, and we're proud of it.
It's awesome. That's awesome. It's the best way to go. The best way to go, the old-fashioned way. And as you said, you have technology and people, and technology should be there to support and enhance those relationships and that problem-solving ability. I don't think it's ever going to replace people. Just make them hopefully more productive and better at solving problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Steve, thanks for
customers are not sitting at their desk 8 hours a day like they used to. They're wearing more hats. They're handling more tasks than they ever have, and you've got to be able to put them again in what we call an ecosystem that allows them to thrive in that type of environment, and allow them to achieve what they need to, not just being behind their desk. And I think American Diamond does a great job of doing that, and we could not do that without the help of tools like Farelanes.
Thank you, Steve.
That's a good endorsement right there. And Steve, thanks for dropping by the show this week. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Anytime.
You bet. And how does everyone reach out and learn more about American Diamond and all your products and offerings?
Yep. So you could go to our website. It is adldelivers.com. Our contact information is all on our website. And our main switchboard number is 817-337-6700. And they can reach our operations team or sales team through that switchboard. And if carriers are watching this, feel free to reach out and get set up with us. And if customers are watching this and would like to learn more about us, reach out through that same number or through the website, and we'd be glad to set up a call and provide more information and learn more about them.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for dropping by, and we'll talk soon.
You bet. Appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
You bet.
Our pleasure, Steve. Good luck at baseball.
So, Casey, any parting words?
Any parting words? Yeah, man. I mean, the only way out is through. We're starting to see some potential signals, right, of a bottom being here. So, fingers crossed for that. And keep battling out there, guys. If you have any questions about Farelanes, feel free to reach out to me. Be happy to answer any questions I know the answer to, or seek some knowledge for the ones that I don't.
And with that, I mean, the market's probably going to turn here sometime. It's not going to be explosive, maybe, but it's going to be a little bit different than it has been the last couple of years, maybe. Hoping to see that, because I, for one, am getting really bored and saying the same thing over and over again. I mean, it's been years now, so hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. But just keep grinding along, have fun with the process. If you have fun doing, good things will happen, and stick with your niche. But with that, if you want to learn more about Brush Pass Research, you can go to brushpassresearch.com or brushpassresearch.blog. If you have any questions, just reach out to me here on LinkedIn, Kevin Hill. Always checking my LinkedIn messages and going back and forth with a few people. So open invitation to send me messages and start a conversation. So that'll be fun. But I think that's going to wrap it for this week, and we'll see you next Thursday morning. Talk about the markets.
Yeah. Sharpen the axe, baby.
Sharpen the axe. Sharpen that axe.
See you, Kev.
See ya.